finds that I have had in a very, very long time. Just look at this beautiful chameleon as it makes its way up the tree. And we're going to be showing more of this chameleon and all sorts of other exciting creatures on your live safari adventure in a moment, because this is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
And a very good afternoon to all of you, and welcome on our sunset safari, starting off with a truly gorgeous and probably the biggest flap-necked chameleon I have seen in all my time whilst working on Safari Live. It is an absolute magnificent specimen, and we're going to be closely examining it in a moment, but first let's just do some quick introductions. My name is Jamie, and this afternoon VM is on camera with me, and we're coming to you live from a place called Djuma Private Game Reserve, which is in the Greater Kruger National Park area of South Africa. And most especially a very warm welcome to Hampton Oaks Elementary, Centerville and Laura Lee Elementary. It's lovely to have you kids on board, and I hope you are all super excited to go on safari. Now, how this works is what you're seeing is what's happening here in South Africa. So for you guys, it's first thing in the morning. Out here in South Africa, it is late in the afternoon. And for all of our new viewers, please do send through your questions. You can do that on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or email through to questions@WildEarthTV. And as soon as we're done with our very special school session, because it's important that we reach out to schools and kids across the world, as soon as we're done with them, then we will definitely be answering them. Okay, without any further ado, our chameleon is disappearing into behind the branches. We can just see its tail. It is an absolutely massive specimen, and I'm going to try and shift around so that we can show you just how wonderful it is. But look at that bright and vibrant green. It is a spectacular reptile, and we don't get to see them that often. So this is really exciting. Hello, chameleon. Let me try and shift around so that I can show you. Now, this chameleon was busy crossing the road to get to, well, the other side, to get to a tree over here. BM, can you see it at all there? There we go. He's over there-ish somewhere. Hold on, let's just see. Oh, he's coming to us. I think he's going to come to us. Have I got the pole in our way? Where is he? Oh, you see? This is why chameleons are amazing. They disappear. He's at the top of this tree. Ah, I know what to do. Okay, I'm going to shift forward slightly. Go, there he goes. He's reaching. There he is. There he goes. He's actually going to come into a perfect view if we just give it 1 second. And you see him there on the top. You can see him with your eyes. It's finding him on the camera. There he is. Wait. Where is he? Oh, there we go. Marvelous. Well done, VM. Look at its eye. Facing directly back towards us, both eyes. Now, here's the amazing thing about chameleons. They can look in different directions with each eye. Look how it's facing its eye right back towards us. So they've got these amazing independent eyes that can look both ways. And it'll sneak up on insects that it happens to see and then shoot out its tongue like an arrow almost. So it's got a really long tongue, and it shoots it forward and it grabs the insect with the sticky end. But it needs those amazing eyes in order to be able to really get an idea of just how far away the insect is. Now, May, you want to know where in Africa we are. May, we're in a wonderful place called South Africa. So South Africa is the southernmost tip, at the southernmost tip of Africa, so right at the south. So we're in the southern hemisphere, and we're in the top northeastern corner. Now, there's a famous reserve called the Greater Kruger National Park, and that is where we are. So the Greater Kruger National Park is huge. It's 8.5 million acres of area where the animals can live completely wild. I've lost it now. Where is it? If I lean, am I going to get in your way? I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to try and get you a better view of this chameleon. In the meantime, Stef is amazing, and he's on foot with giants.
Yes, well, welcome to the bushwalk part of this particular safari this afternoon. Welcome to Laura Lee School. We definitely are on foot at the moment. We've got some elephant in the background over there. Now, elephant are the most dangerous animals to approach on foot and to be on foot with. So you might be asking yourself, why are we doing it? Why are we risking our lives like this to be close to elephant on foot? To be honest with you, it is just one of the most amazing experiences that you So we're not here to try and influence the way that they behave. What we're here to do is to try and share a little bit of their lives with you unobserved. Now, Caitlin, you asked why do we search for animals? Caitlin, most of the time we just rely on the fact that we stay here. So I know that direction tomorrow morning, and basically it's just trusting your gut. But we also do a lot of follow the way that these animals are moving, basically. The unfortunate thing is that they're moving into a position where onto them. And for elephants, for wild elephants like these are not tame elephants. These elephants get a big whiff full of detergent and human smell, sun cream and insect repellent. They really don't like that. And they can put a herd of elephant like this on the alert that there's some danger here. So we're just going to see basically what they're doing, give them some time to make up their decisions. We don't want to get in their way whatsoever. And the only way we're going to do that is just by sitting still and listening and figuring out what they're going to do next. Now, Adrian, you've asked me why are elephants so dangerous. Adrian, I put it straight down to their intelligence. Elephants are very, very intelligent creatures. There's a whole bunch of different assumptions as to how intelligent they are relative to us. Some say a 6-year-old, some say an 8-year-old, some say a 15 or a 16-year-old, others even say up to a 30-year-old adult. Elephants are as intelligent as them. For me, I just think that this intelligence brings with it an imagination, and the elephant know that they for their skins, for their meat, and they've just been hunted by people for the last thousands of years. Has protected elephants here for 150 years, but that genetic memory is still with those elephants. They still remember what it has been like to be hunted by man for their skin and ivory and meat, and they have that fear in them. And so what you don't want to do is you want them to react to that fear. And so what we're going to do is give them the most bush to play in, the most bush to live in without influencing them. Now, while we get into a slightly better position to show you these elephants again, hopefully, I'm holding my thumbs crossed that we'll be able to do that again a little bit later in the show. I'm going to send you over to Jamie with that fantastic little chameleon that she's found.
How exciting is that? Stef's found elephants on foot. Now, he described be patient and wait for it to move a little bit more so that we can see it properly. Look at these amazing feet. You can just see them gripping. Laura Lee, you want to know if chameleons are in South Africa because they are cold-blooded. Now, that's a very good question because, of course, reptiles are what's known as ectotherms. In other words, oh wow, look at that. You can actually see the opening underneath the tail. That's where they lay eggs and that's where they reproduce. That's amazing. Sorry, Laura Lee, and all the kids at Laura Lee. Because reptiles are cold-blooded or ectotherms, which means that they have to rely on heat outside in order to warm up and control their own body temperature. So they're not like mammals. There we go. There you can see its head. They're not like mammals. They need heat and then they can control their body temperature that way. So the answer is not necessarily, because of course you get reptiles in the North Americas as well, even in places where it gets very cold. It just means that they have to hibernate in winter. But out here, our reptiles don't hibernate, they estivate, because of course our winters don't get very cold at all. Look how carefully this chameleon's moving. So our winters don't get too cold, but they are very dry, which means that they have to sleep during winter. Now, Rachel, you want to know what chameleons eat. They eat insects. Now, look at how amazing this is. Remember how dark green it was when we first saw it? Now, look how light green it is with yellow spots. And that's so that it can creep up on those insects clearly. You can see it moves very slowly. How dark green it was when we first saw it. Now look how light green it is with yellow spots. And that's so that it can creep up on those insects clearly. You can see it moves very slowly. Look at the way that its toes grip onto the branches. Now, chameleons they go black and blotchy, and they start to hiss at you. They puff themselves. I want to get out of the car and go up to it because I think it will actually. This is quite an alert chameleon. It's a very large one, and I think if I get out, it's going to feel threatened. So, in terms of physical statues, he's about from my wrist to my elbow. I'm pretending to be a leaf. I'm not an animal. I'm a leaf. I'm a leaf. I'm a rocking motion. He's pretending to be a leaf blowing in the wind. Now, Zeke, you want to know how strong a chameleon is. Well, actually, honestly, Zeke, I was just thinking how much muscle control it must have to move so slowly. They're stronger than you expect them to be, but not very strong. So it's still quite small. It's probably the size of my two hands put together. So it's all animals out here are much stronger than we expect them to be, because human beings are actually quite weak compared to the animals out here. So it's got some strong muscles, but really it's not an animal that relies on fighting. It's an animal that relies on being secretive and stealthy. I've even had a chameleon. This is a weird story. I had a worm in my mouth, but deliberately to feed a chameleon. I had a worm in my mouth and a chameleon took it out of my mouth, and their tongues are very, very strong. They're so powerful. They shoot out almost faster than you can blink, and that's how they catch their insects. Look at it. It's so cool. Those feet are just amazing. 3 toes in the front, 2 at the back. Now, Austin, you want to know how long do chameleons live for? So you get different species of chameleons. Ours will live for a good few years, possibly even up to, I'm just trying to think what the maximum life expectancy is. I'll think of it in a moment. Let me reposition first, and then I'll tell you exactly how long they live. They can live for a lot longer than you expect. Let me just do this because we've got such a good view. I don't want to waste this opportunity because he's going to disappear soon. I'm having to move the car creakily. Sorry. Oh, wait, sorry, Viam, before we go back to him. I'm just thinking, just quickly while we're here, before he disappears. You wanted to know how big he is. He's about this big. So what's that? Just about a foot in length, and he's probably about this thick. So it's a very, very big chameleon. It's one of the biggest I've seen out here. Okay, there we go. Now, our chameleon's moving slowly, but Stef's elephants are not moving slowly. Let's go to him before they disappear.
These elephants again. The wind is swirling around us, and every now and again I think just one member of the herd catches our scent and changes direction. They're not all aware of us at the moment, I don't think, mainly because they're still standing there. If the elephant were aware of us, the lead cow, the biggest female, she'd have her head up at the time. Sometimes they come running at you, and then you better have a termite mind around or a tall, thick tree to climb. Like I said, elephants are probably the most dangerous animals to be close to on foot in the bush. They're big, they are aggressive, they worry about their babies. But enough of how dangerous this is. What it is at the moment is super special to be with these elephants. They're now going off into the distance. We're not going to follow them into this thick bush over here. The wind is just too... We're going to look for something else interesting to show you. So you're off to Brent, who's also got a warthog.
And there she is. You can see the bottom tusk, which you can more to show that she's dangerous. Now, they can even chase lions and leopards sometimes, the warthogs. And there's another mom and her baby at the back. Now, there were 4 babies to start with. There's only one left, and the rest have been eaten. Now, welcome to our wonderful schools. My name is Brent Smith. I have my good friend and fantastic cameraman Jean-Dre with me, and we are looking for my favorite animal in the whole world, the African wild dog. So hopefully we're going to be able to find them. But while we look for all the other animals out here in the bush, you do get to bump into some wonderful creatures like the warthogs. And off they toddle. So we're going to do the same. So we saw wild dogs in this area this morning, so we're going to try find them again. Now, Joey is wondering, what animal do we see the most? Joey, I would have to say it is an antelope, which we actually haven't seen one yet this afternoon, which is very strange, called an impala. It is the most numerous antelope in Africa, south of the Sahara. And it's a very cool antelope because it's been exactly the same for 1.6 million years. So they evolved, they got to the perfect form, and they haven't had to evolve any further since then. We will definitely try find you one. Okay, so while we search for all the other animals, let's go see that beautiful, beautiful chameleon with Jamie.
And our beautiful chameleon is just about to disappear. It somehow seems to have got even bigger now. It seems to have puffed itself up a little bit, pretending even more to be a leaf as it walks out in the open. Austin, I'm sorry, I got distracted. I was meant to be answering your question. The answer is for this species of chameleon, because you get different types of chameleon, they can live between around about 5 years, maybe a really old chameleon about 8 years. So there you go. That's how long chameleons live. Oh, there he goes, right up into the tip top of the tree. Thank you, Mr. Chameleon. Oh, look at that. And of course, that tail coming along behind, you can also use that to grip if it needs to. You can see how the leaves are blowing now in the wind. You can imagine how strong he has to grip on in order to stay in this tree. There goes that foot gripping onto the stick. This is very cool. We don't often get to see a chameleon this big. Now remember, if you ever do find chameleons, they are very territorial. which means you have to be careful of taking them out of one tree and putting them in another. So they are very, very territorial. Now, Adrian, you want to know if chameleons are smart? I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know how smart they are. I think they're very, very cleverly designed in that they can change color. They know what color they should be in different situations, in order to disappear into the leaves, just like ours is done. Are they smart? I don't know. That's a very, very good question. It's hard to tell. No one's ever had to make a chameleon take a maths test, although there's different ways of being smart, isn't there? He's smart enough to know that he must be green when he's on that tree, and he's smart enough to know that he must get big when he's out in the open, so that nothing will come and attack him, like a bird perhaps, or a snake. Those are two things that might eat a chameleon. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to say, I can't see him anymore. He's disappeared, and I don't think I can do any more repositioning to have a chance to see him. So we've had a really, really wonderful sighting with our chameleon, but he has disappeared. Devon, you want to know how many colors a chameleon can turn. It depends on your species of chameleon, Devon. So certain species of chameleon can actually turn blue in a way. But as far as I know, I've never seen a flap-necked chameleon that can turn blue. But green, yellow, red, black, those are some of the colors that our chameleon can turn. No, I'm afraid not. He's completely vanished now. Let's count. White, black, green, red, yellow. 5 different colors. And then, of course, because you can mix primary colors, he can turn orange, because he can turn yellow and green, so he can combine those 2 colors to make orange. And probably pink as well, a little bit. Perhaps breeding season. Good question, Devon. I'm not 100% sure if those are the only colors a chameleon can turn. But they also don't go one solid color, so they can have dots and splodges. Especially when they're angry. When they're angry and they get black, and then they have splodges of white. All of the colors in nature that warn you. Yeah, I'm going to take you to see another fantastic reptile, but before we get there, let's go across to Stef and find out what he's up to.
What I'm up to is I'm trying to find a remedy for my cold and my flu that I have at the moment. I've got some sinusitis from a cold I picked up from my little boy today, and I'm on the search for some bush medicine, and the first thing on my list was this tree over here. This tree is a silver cluster leaf, and what you of course want to do with cold and flu medicine is stop your nose from running. I know it sounds disgusting, but no one likes to see runny noses, in particular not myself. What this tree has got in it, it's got a very high tannin content in the leaves, and tannin is very astringent on mucus. I know it sounds a bit weird, this, and probably a bit disgusting, but we're going to try it anyway. So what astringent means is it means that it dries out your mucous membrane. So if I were to put this in my mouth, for instance, it makes my saliva go dry and powdery, and that is exactly what I wanted to do with my runny nose. I wanted to stop the runny nose. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a bunch of leaves, we're going to fold them into a circle, keeping all the sharp ends of course on the inside. And why I'm folding it into a circle is because I wanted to unwind, but I only wanted to unwind when I wanted to unwind. Alrighty, so that's what we're going to do with that one, and then I'm going to put it in my nostril and I'm going to let it unwind. And what I'm hoping it does is that it takes the mucus that is running out my nose and it makes it dry, and it stops my runny nose. Now, once I've stopped my runny nose and I can concentrate on something else, what we're going to do is we're going to find something for my headache. So we're going to find something for my headache, and once I've sorted out my headache and I can think again and I don't have a lot of mucus running out of my nose, then we're going to look at finding something for my sore throat, and then we should be okay. So for now, I'm going to be walking around with my tissues in my nose, my astringent tissues that have tannin in it. So just to recap on what I'm busy doing over there now, is the fact that it binds up mucus. So tannin binds up mucus into something that stops it from being runny, and that's what I'm doing now. Now, Julie, you just asked me, are we likely to see a snake today? Probably not, to be honest, but you can never tell out here, to be really fair. So yes, there's every opportunity that we'll see a snake. It doesn't necessarily we don't normally see snakes on bushwalk, 1 or 2 a month probably, and almost all of them in the summertime. So like now, where it's summer and the snakes are active for a long period of the day because they are cold-blooded. Snakes need the environment to warm them up so that they can start moving, and they can only really move when their bodies are at exactly the right temperature. You also have a similar thing. Our bodies are at 37 degrees centigrade. I'm not quite sure what that is in Fahrenheit, probably 80 something or 90 something, to be honest, and our bodies can only operate at that temperature. Too high or too low and we've got problems. Snakes have a little bit of a broader band, but they are still restricted to a certain minimum temperature and a certain maximum temperature. And so when it's very hot, they don't move around. When it's very cold, they don't move around. But when it's just right, they do. And this is actually a good time to see snakes, is this time of the day. All right, my nose has stopped running. I can breathe out of it now. Yeah. All right, now we are going to be looking for some headache tablets, but before I do that, I'm going to be answering David's question. He wanted to know what the leaves smell like. David, I can't smell anything because my sinuses are so blocked, but I would imagine, just from using it previously, that when you've mowed your grass and there's that very green smell that comes from fresh cut grass from your lawnmower, that is what I'm smelling at the moment. So, I can make it smell a bit differently. We have got things out here that make things smell nice as well. So I can make my fresh green grass smell like licorice by using this plant. Now Maya, you've asked me how long does it take to get better using these leaves. Maya, to stop my nose from running happens almost immediately. This tannin that is in these leaves is very, very good at binding mucus and holding it nice and tight and to stop running. So it's actually very good. It worked almost immediately. I can breathe now without too much trouble. And this that I'm cutting up now in my hands and crushing up now in my hands is a type of flavorant. It's a type of basil, so I can make my fresh grass smell like a basil that your mom uses to cook with. And I can actually smell that, which is amazing. Yeah. Some medicines, of course, in the bush are not quite as strong as what doctors' medicines are. Of course, doctors' medicines are, of course, going to work much faster than what bush remedies can. But the bush remedy is not, while not that pretty, is quite effective. Now, on to our next mission, and that is to find me some headache tablet right here, in actual fact. So I have some headache tablets. This is a sickle bush. This is a sickle bush, one of the bushes that give us lots of punches when we're driving off-road. And the sickle bush has got a lot of pain-killing properties, predominantly in the leaves and in the bark of the roots. But you can literally pick a bit of sickle bush just like this, and I can chew it. And it's not only going to help for my headache, it's also going to help for my sore throat. Now, Leo, you've just said you like this leaf trick. I can't imagine it's because it's making me look good, but yes, it works very well. Now, this headache tablet is not as good as, say, taking a, I don't know, normal over-the-counter paracetamol, but if I eat enough of it, it will eventually help. Very good for my sore throat as well, so it's going to help for my sore throat. And to clear up my headache. No. And then what else we can use, and something I didn't even think about until now, is we can look for some elephant dung. If I can get a fire going, and it's going to be difficult because everything out here is pretty wet, but if I can get a fire going and I can breathe in the smoke from a piece of elephant dung, that is also incredibly good for headaches. And the reason for that is elephant out here eat almost all the trees that you can see, and so their dung is like a concentrated first aid box. And sometimes when you light the dung, the goodness in the leaves and the roots and the bark that they've been eating comes up in their smoke, and you can breathe in their smoke, and it has a wonderfully calming effect on your head. Can sometimes quite good clear up a headache. So what I think I'm going to do is get a fire going with some elephant dung and show you exactly how we clear up my headache with that. In the meantime, why don't we send you over to Brent, and I'll catch up with you when I've got that burning.
Hello. So we're in the area where we last had those wild dogs this morning, and it's quite hot, so they're probably going to be sleeping. So we got to look carefully under all the bushes and all the shade. Now, wild dogs, as I said, are my favorite animal. That's because they're the most exciting. They're always running around all over the place. They're always up to something. But they could be napping at this time of the day because it's really warm. And so fingers crossed. They're very rare. They're actually an endangered species. There's less than 3,500 left in the whole of Africa. Well, I'm just going to have a quick look in the river here. Could be nice cool sand for them to sleep in. Now when I say a river, most of the rivers in this part of South Africa are dry rivers, and they flow for very short times. Hello, Amore. Amore wants to know, what is a wild dog? Well, it's a predatory canid or canid species that lives out here, and it eats impalas and other antelopes. I will show you a picture of one in a second. I just need to concentrate while I cross the river. So I'm trying to see if I can smell them. See, now isn't this crazy? I'm driving off the road. Oh, there we go. So they were around here this morning in these guarri thickets here. Now I can't see them now. So they were sleeping here. Let me show you a picture of them quickly. So there we go. Let's find a good picture of one. There we go. That is what a wild dog looks like. No? There? Kind of down a bit. And let's see if we've got a picture of the full body. There's the head shot. So they're very pretty. There we go. So those are African wild dogs. They're very fast movers, and they can do sort of 30-40 miles an hour for up to about 5 or 6 miles while they chase animals. So you'll see another car go past us. They're busy helping us look for these wild dogs, and they were all lying around here this morning. Cool. They were lying between this wallow and the next wallow in the guarris here just off the road.
Okay, we'll have another look here again.
Cool. Okay, so we were the last people with them this morning, so we're all checking around here to see if they've gone a different direction. Hi, Joey. Joey would like to know how long I've been a safari guide. Joey, I've been a safari guide for about 15 years. I'm lucky though. I grew up in the safari business, so I spent my childhood in the bush, and I used to have a teacher who lived with us in the bush, so I was very lucky. So I've been in the bush, African bush, my whole life, and I love coming out and looking for animals. So now we're just checking that they're not snoozing in this shade. So this is where they were this morning. Now they can become very flat dogs when it's hot like this. Okay, so we're gonna keep keep looking for these wild dogs. While we do that, let's go to Stef and some elephant dung.
I managed to find my elephant dung. Here it is right here. I've just managed to scrape off the dry top parts because the bottom of the dung is all wet because it's A, this dung was very fresh, and B, it's been raining here for the last couple of days, and so everything is a bit moist. So you can see there that is going to be too wet to burn, but it is going to protect my hands from the flame. So what we're going to do is take it like this, then we're going to find some sun. I have a magnifying glass, I carry it around in my bag, and mainly so that I can do this. Using the sun, concentrate a tiny little ball, and you'll see almost immediately this smoke starts to come out. You light a few pieces of wood and grass, just going around in a circle. And then when it is smoking quite a lot, what you do is you just blow on it. And what that does is it just transfers the heat into the dung and allow it to burn a little bit more. Rashad, you've just asked me a question. I've just battled to hear it. I'm just going to ask Kirsty to repeat it, and then I'll answer your question. Rashad, you just asked me, do animals eat the leaves when they're sick? They absolutely do, Rashad. So out here, and I was lucky enough to spend some time with a very dear friend of mine out here who constantly was self-medicating. And I kept on asking him, so why are you doing this for your sore kidneys and for your headache and for your sinus? And he said to me, do you see me being sick? Was what he said to me, and I said no. He said it's because I'm constantly taking the medicine out here. I think to a degree the animals are very similar to my friend in that they're always eating these leaves and always eating this food, and in a way they're constantly self-medicating. And yes, they do get sick, and sometimes the bush can't help them there, but for the most part you constantly just look after yourself with a good diet and healthy food, and you're giving your body those building blocks to try and look after itself. Now I've managed to get this burning, so we're just letting it transfer some of the heat. You can see there. I'm just going to take out a dung beetle here. It's trying its best to try and escape out the bottom. You can see some dung beetles that are moving away from the fire. Alright, so we've got some decent smoke going here. Come and have a look inside. Can you see the coal? Alright, now we've got enough smoke. Now all I'm going to do is just waft it over my head, breathing it in, and what it will do is it'll dilate or open up the veins in my head. So it'll start to open up the veins in my head, which are being pressed in by the sinus infection at the moment, and that should ease blood flow through my head, and in theory what it does is it reduces congestion related headaches. So I'm just waiting for the smoke to have its effect, wafting it into my face. It's got quite a pleasant smell. It's not an unpleasant smell at all. It's like a burning compost heap, but just a very herby compost heap. Very nice. I quite enjoy it. Ah, yeah, it's not making me smell good, that's for sure. Might as well just make myself smell like the bush all over, and when we get closer to elephant next time. Yeah. Camouflaging myself. Now Austin, you've wanted to know what elephant dung feels like. Austin, it's made up mainly of bits and pieces of wood and grass. You can see that here is a piece of wood, that is a stick, and this is a piece of grass. So it's quite fibrous-y, to be quite honest. It probably feels like a very rough sponge if I were to put a texture to it. Quite a roughish sponge, but something that you can compress. That's what a piece of elephant dung feels like. And depending on the time of year, they're eating a lot of grass now and marulas, but in the winter they eat a lot of sticks. Now Maya, you wanted to know how strong the smell is. Maya, not that, I mean, it would be overwhelming if I stuck my head into the smoke at the moment. But even now that I'm in here, I got a big lungful over there which is burning my right nostril, which obviously makes it good, it's working, clearing up my cold. It's not an unpleasant smell at all, Maya. It doesn't smell at all like you burning another animal's dung, to be honest. I suppose if you would try it at home, a piece of cow dung or a piece of horse dung would be a good place to start what this would smell like. That's probably about as close as what I could get to the beginning, only a lot more herby. You can smell the medicine in the bushes that they're eating being released. It's got a very herby smell coming out of it. Now this is starting to get quite hot on my hands over here, so I'm going to put it down and just enjoy the rest of the smoke that's coming off here. I already have a very clear head, to be quite honest. It gives you this cotton woolly feeling in the front of your head when you've now had enough. That's how I know I've had enough elephant dung smoke, is the fact that the front part of your brain starts to feel like you've got a marshmallow in your head, and I'm starting to get that marshmallowy feel. But it definitely has sorted out my headache. It's used all over the place as a headache remedy from time to time. So people make paper from it, they plaster their floors with it. Elephant dung has so many uses. Very, very nice. Anyway, my headache's done. I'm going to put this out so we don't run the risk of burning the rest of the bush down over here. And Brent is probably going to give you an update on his search for those wild dog.
I'm still looking for my puppies, but I can't find them just yet. I think they might have been chased by lions. And the reason I'm saying that is there are lion tracks right here, very close to where we left them this morning. So that means there are lions in the area as well. Oh, I wonder what's going on. Very exciting. We're just going to have a quick little look a little bit further. Now, wild dogs are very scared of lions, and it's probably one of the biggest threats to wild dogs out here in the African bush is lions. Hi, Devin. Devin wants to know how many wild dogs there are in South Africa. Chandra? Oh, Ariel. Devin, overall, there's probably wild dogs. So what I think is the lions chased them, and I think they would have run this way. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in a big loop. Hello, Austin. Austin wants to know, are they actually dogs? Yes, they are, Austin. And they are, but they're not closely related to your wolf or other dog, because the wolf is a dog. They're separated from them about 1.8 million years. They've got an extra toe that dogs don't have, and they've got specially designed teeth for ripping apart animals. So that's the two major differences between the wild dogs and domestic dogs and wolves. Even though they are really related to dogs, they have the same common ancestor. Okay. Hi, David. David would like to know, are wild dogs related to hyena? David, they are not. A hyena is actually more closely related to a mongoose than it is to a dog, even though they do have a dog-like face. Now, since I can't show you the wild dogs, I'm going to show you something quite cool that the wild dogs did this morning. So, when we were following them on the morning safari, they caught an impala, and there were 14 wild dogs. They managed to finish that whole antelope in less than 5 minutes, and this is all that's left. So you can see where the ground has been flattened. Now this darker coloration you're seeing around here is actually blood, and here you go, one shoulder bone of a baby impala. That's all that's left. So they finished it in about 4 minutes. They ate a whole baby impala. So very, very, oh, I thought I heard something. Effective predators. Yum, smells fresh. So you can see where they were feeding, where they caught the impala. You can see all the grass has been flattened around here as they were pulling it apart, and there's almost absolutely nothing left. I just find it amazing how quickly they can eat something like an impala. Okay, let's go see. I'm still hoping I'm going to find them. I never give up looking for wild dogs. Now, Jessica has asked a very interesting question. Jessica wants to know, why is the steering wheel on the right side? Well, Jessica, because being on the right side is right and being on the left side is wrong. No, I'm only teasing. So almost all ex-British colonies in England, they also have the steering wheel on the right. Most of Southern Africa, East Africa, all steering wheel on the right. That's just where we have our steering wheels. So that's the only explanation I can give for you. Oh. Okay guys, we're going to say a goodbye, and it's been great having you, and hopefully we'll see you on another drive soon, and we're going to say toodaloo for now, and see you maybe tomorrow or the next day. Now we're going to go across to Jamie.
And all the way across at Cheetah Plains at Djuma Dam, the suddenly very full Djuma Dam, we've got 3 hippopotamuses. Just a quick reminder now that our school session is finished, a very warm welcome to any of our new viewers, and of course our regular viewers as well. To you too. Don't forget to send through your questions using the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or you can email through to questions@WildEarthTV. I'm just making sure the hippo's not going to come barreling out of the water. Highly, highly unlikely that will happen, just because a water hole or a dam is where hippopotamus feel safest, and for them now there's plenty of water about, so they should feel relatively secure in the center of their dam. I can't believe how full Djuma Dam is, and it's such a nice it is such a nice surprise to see 3 hippo here. Hello guys. Wonder where you spent your hard seasons in the dryness of the drought, ducking under again. Oh, here comes. You might have seen a photobomb there from a little bee eater. That just flashed through your screen, that beautiful green and yellow bird. That was another one. And all of our hippopotamus have popped under again. So this is a beautiful spot now. Hard to believe that we were sitting watching Styx cubs in here when it was completely dry. Now the water extends. The water extends all the way up the drainage line, even to where we first saw the Styx cubs, the new Styx cubs, which is all the way up in that sort of general direction. When they were suckling, it was I think it was the first time we ever saw them. It's now completely underwater, much like our hippo, that are now completely underwater as well. There we go, popping up. Oh, I think this group of hippo seems to be quite shy. I think it's because they're not quite familiar with this dam just yet. They've only been here for a few days. This dam's only been full like this for a couple of weeks. They're still establishing themselves in this area. And it looks as though we've got at least 1 bull, which was what I was expecting. Oh, there it goes, flicking its ears. And then there's a young one there as well, and then potentially a female. It's hard to tell. Obviously, the adult bulls and the adult cows are quite different, just in terms of size. Oh, all 3 heads at once. Oh, and a bottom. A quick flick upwards. So the one at the back, I think, is just a female. Not just a female, that's not what I mean. I think she is a female, not just a young hippo. And I think this one here on the right, the one that's been making the most noise since our arrival, I think this is the male. There you go, you can see his head is sticking out of the water, ears popping out, eyes popping out, and nostrils potentially as well, as per James's amazing and at this point truly famous hippopotamus drawing. Oh, there we go, Djuma Dam. I was hoping to see some elephants swimming because it is baking hot this afternoon, but it doesn't seem as though that's going to be the case. We've got pachyderm swimming, just not the kind we thought we would. And speaking of things that we've been searching for, let's go across to Brent, find out if he's had any luck.
Hey, we've had lots of luck. It's my puppies. Hello, puppies. Now, they definitely got chased by the lion, so they're probably about 700-800 meters from where we left them this morning. But they are lovely and flat. Now, as with most creatures out here, patience is important, but less so with the dogs. I say it's probably going to be 20 minutes to half an hour before they get moving. 14 of them, they're definitely going to have to hunt again this evening. And hopefully there are still 14 after they run in with the lions. Let's try and do a little count. This is going to be quite difficult. There's 4 lying in that pile, 5, and then there's a massive pile. It's almost indistinguishable. You can't distinguish the dogs from the dogs. It's just a pile of dogs. So we'll have to wait till they get moving before we can be sure. And now Andy and Julia are wondering, are there any other types of dog that live in the bush? There are. We call them jackals. Well, they're part of the dog family. And we have 2 species here in the Sabi Sands. We have side-striped and black-backed. And what other? Oh, dog family. Cape fox is another one of the dog family. Bat-eared fox. But they occur in the more arid areas of the country. And if we go further north, golden jackal. And then the most interesting one for me, and probably the highest on my mammalian sort of bucket list of creatures to see, is the Ethiopian wolf, or simian fox. And they only live in the mountain highlands of Ethiopia. And then very recently in Egypt and Morocco, there has been a race of grey wolf, or a European wolf, that has been discovered living in North Africa. So when there was a land bridge between Arabia and Africa, there's a couple of species that managed to sneak across. Red deer, some of the sheep species. There we go. Oh, stretch. Sean. Sean, we've located my Dutch. From where you last saw me, just come back a little bit, a little bit further to the east. They've just suddenly stood up and they started heading straight west, chasing something. Right now, yeah. Sorry, guys. They keep coming. They've stopped at the pan. Okay, something caught one of the dog's attention. I'm not sure what it is. So something really caught that one dog's attention. I don't know if it's a sort of whiff of lion, but I didn't hear that very distinct alarm bark, that very deep bark. Well, we can do a bit of a count now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So all present and accounted for. I wonder what got that dog riled. Now, Al's wondering, are wild dogs a threat to lion and hyena cubs? And leopard cubs, but only to the cubs. Although wild dogs are very good at sorting out adult hyenas, but not so good Well, if they caught them in the den, they definitely would be. But lion cubs that are being hidden when the adults aren't there, they are a danger. But if there we go. See, this is the dog that was very alert. But and with leopards, they are a big threat to leopards. I've actually seen a pack of dogs kill a female leopard before. Look, there's something that's got his attention. Hello, mister. This is that dog. I actually very much like him. He's got 2 holes in his right ear, which make him quite distinct. Sean, they've gone flat again. Now, Sean from Secunda wants to know how good is their hearing. Well, Sean, it is excellent. And of course, that's why they've got those massive ears. And it is mostly for protection or relocating each other. So they don't really use it for hunting. And you'll notice if they use their eyes for hunting when they spot. If they spot something, they'll actually flatten their ears as they move towards them. Well, it's all calming down again. So while the dogs are relaxing before they get mobile, let's go across to Stef, who's got a creepy crawly arachnid for you.
This isn't the dogs that you're with are not the only thing that are relaxing at the moment. Here we have the female garden orb spider who's just relaxing on the stump. And I think it's because she actually saw us coming. Most spiders this size have quite a well-developed sense of self-preservation. And what they'll do is if they see something big coming along like a buffalo or an elephant or a person, they quickly run from their web to a place of safety. And in this particular case, it's the stump. And now what she's doing is she's just waiting to see if this big bad person either walks through her web or leaves the vicinity so that she can go back to the center of her web, which gives her the most chance of feeling all the web elements that allow her to judge whether or not an insect has been caught in her web. But what is quite special about this particular garden orb spider is that she is and has a suitor. There is a male garden orb spider in her web, and I want to just do 2 things for you. Now most spiders, the males have a hard time of mating with the females, mainly because if they make a wrong mistake or they act like food or they don't get it right, the female will instinctively see them as a piece of prey and jump on them and devour them. Quite often, not in all spiders' cases, but quite often the male actually sacrifices himself to the female in order to inseminate her while she's busy killing and eating him. Isn't that just extraordinary? In this particular case, the male generally stays unnoticed because they are so much smaller than this particular spider. I'm going to give you a size comparison. Here's my thumb next to this particular spider, and as you can see, she's relatively large. I mean, she'd easily fit into my palm, legs outstretched, she'd probably fill my palm. So she's quite a large spider. Now, come and have a look at the male, who is just down here. Here he is at the tip of my finger, and he is about as big as my 2 thumbnails put together. That's about as big as he is. So you can see the massive size difference between my palm and 2 fingernails. He's probably about 100 times smaller than her. This is the male garden orb spider, and although we do have garden orb females on the show from time to time, it's very rare that we actually get to show you the male counterpart. Now he would have had to have walked here, I'm still absolutely I don't know how the males of these particular species of spiders actually find their way to the females. It could be because when she's ready to have her eggs inseminated, she's giving off pheromones, which he then tracks downwind. And what he'll basically do is walk here across all the grass in the ground, smelling his lady, or smelling this particular lady. And then when he finds an area that is just inundated with her scent, he climbs around everywhere until he finds one of her pieces of web, and then climbs onto the web. Generally speaking, he'll hang on the extremities like this. So he's right on the outside of the web, and that's so that he can gauge what she's up to. Quite often what will happen then is that they'll do this quite elaborate dance, plucking on the strings. They can sing to their lady. Not all spiders do this. They can sing to their lady by plucking on the web in a very specific way. This particular guy probably gets away with the fact that he comes across as something that's just below her notice, and as soon as she comes close to him, he'll hitch a ride on with her, inseminate her quickly before she even realizes that he's there, and then move off. Nice, eh? Now, James, you wanted to know if these spiders would build their webs close to game paths so that they could catch insects that are disturbed by the passing of the animals. James, that's a good question. In this particular case, the only reason why I found this female was because there's a very prominent game path that we walked on just behind where you are now. So probably about a yard or two. There we go. Craig is busy showing you. That is a prominent game path. Doesn't look like much now, but in the dry season I've used this particular crossing point often. However, that being said, I do not think that they would do that. Mostly what they do is they build their webs in places where there's a good breeze, and they build their web parallel to the breeze. Now, for the last couple of months, there's been a very stiff breeze coming out of the south, and this particular web is angled straight down this drainage line in a north-south orientation. Doesn't look like it now with the sun there in the west, I know, but in this particular case, the web itself is slightly angled to that. If I were to put my back now to the, so probably northwest is where it's now, so northwest southeast orientation, that's where this web is now. And it's because what the spider's trying to do is catch insects that are using the wind as transport. And she's got this nice gap between these two trees that has allowed her to do that. But these, look, here she comes back. Awesome. She's coming back down. So now she's obviously realized that we're not going to do anything, and she's managed to slip past the male who is here, and she's going to come to the center of her web. There we go. And very characteristically like, group her legs in pairs so that it looks like she's just got one, like there's a cross. And now she's got herself plugged into her web. She's got her feet in touch with elements on her web that allows her to judge any disturbance. She'll pluck on the web if there is a disturbance, and if there is something caught in her web, she'll move out there and immobilize it and wrap it up. I think that's quite nice. She's come back now, even with us standing here. Awesome. Right, and on that note, I think it would be a good time for you to go back to those dogs with Brent before they run away or do something else exciting.
Well, at the moment they're being quite calm compared to what they can be, so it's quite a nice time to have a look at some of the behavior we're seeing here. Now, it's not so important in an established pack of wild dogs like the Investec pack, but in an unestablished pack of wild dogs. So how wild dog packs form is generally two members of the same sex will leave their home group, and they'll set off and hopefully bump into two members of the same sex from a different pack. So two females will leave this pack, or two males will leave another pack, and once they merge, it's very, very important in that what the research has shown, if in the first 3 or 4 months of the pack being formed, that they don't lie exactly like this on top of each other, forming close social bonds, those packs normally fail and will disintegrate, and those animals will disperse away from them again. So, I mean, not so relevant in a well-established pack like this, but you can see that close-knit community of the dogs, those bonds, like we see with lions and other social animals, or social predators in particular, that these bonds need to be constantly improved and reassured. And obviously it's a slightly different type of social dynamic with the dogs and the cats. Michael is wondering, will wild dogs ever grieve when they lose a pack member? And hello, Ryan. Ryan is trying to make me smile and do funny things while I'm alive, so I just embrace it and carry on talking. And there we go. So what we're talking about is now that will any of the individuals grieve when a pack member is killed? Generally, with an animal like a wild dog that only lives for a very short period of time, average lifespan in this area is about 6 or 7 years. They don't have time to grieve. They've just got to keep on moving. And also with the young ones, they have such a high mortality rate of about 75 to 80%. So to see this many of the sort of pups getting to 8 months, 9 months, they're getting close to that year mark where that mortality rate drops down exponentially. So Investec's doing a great job at the moment. Now I'm pretty sure they had a run-in with those lions earlier from the tracks I could see from where we left them. So luckily no missing puppies from what we can see. And we've got a friend who's joined us in the vehicle, quite a pretty one as well. Not the most relaxed one, keeps attacking me, but isn't that stunning? It's a big female mantid. It's a good thing I'm not a male mantid. Look at those beautiful little spots on the inside of her arm, and you can see those, I'm going to try to turn her sideways a little bit, you can see those impressive sort of daggers on her arms that she uses to impale her prey. And her mate. Isn't that amazing? Now, on certain mantid species, I've actually had blood drawn when I've tried to catch them and move them out of my tent when I was living in the Gabonese rainforest. But those mantids were literally bigger than my hand. All those things are impressive. Now, imagine that on a large scale. We wouldn't stand a chance. And I also love their eyes. She's very much focused on me. And you can see how that yellow stripe that runs from her face actually runs right into the eye as well. And I'm going to see if she'll let me. I'm going to turn her like this, Jean, so we can see if we can just see her mouth part. No, she's not going to let me. It's okay. I'm just trying to see if we can see her mouth parts. Let me see if I can get it onto this single finger and see if I can just hold her upside down for a second. Doesn't want to let go of my hand. And see, she's calmed down a little bit, so she's not attacking me as fiercely as she once was. I'm going to try just do that. Oh, my finger's going to get in the way, isn't it, Chandra? Maybe if I do that. Oh, no. Her head's too low to actually have a look into her mandibles. But it is an exquisite creature. Now, the reason I can tell it's a female, now we're going to try swing around to see her. There we go. You can see her back end there. So the males would obviously have a different shaped appendage. Okay. Should we let her go? Oh, she doesn't seem to want to go. Fly, be free. We'll let her go at her own speed. She really doesn't want to leave me now. There we go. Now, Lily in New Mexico. Do you like my new friend? Manti the Mantid. Or Mantina, it's a girl. Lily, who's 9 years old and watching from New Mexico, would like to know how many puppies can a wild dog have. Now, they have very large litters. The biggest litter I've heard of is about 25, but normally 10 to 15 puppies is regular. And you remember, only one female wild dog out of all of them will give birth, and that is the alpha female. So only the alpha female and the alpha male will give birth. And the rest of the pack's whole sole existence is to basically rear the pups. They're one of the only animals outside of human beings where the the young actually have a higher social standing than the adults. So the adults live to please the young, which is a very human-like concept. It's very, very special to be able to spend time with the wild dogs, and of course our new friend Mantina the mantid. But while we sit here patiently waiting to see if the dogs get moving, let's go back to Jamie and see where she is and what she's up to.
I am bumbling through Cheetah Plains, and to be more specific, I am on the southern open area. Ow! Fly just flew into my face. I'm in the southern open area of Cheetah Plains clearing. So this vast open space that Gnormless Gnorman the Gnu, Brent's name, not mine, Gnormless Gnorman the Gnu likes to spend his days. I'm on the search for the cheetah. I'm hoping to find them reunited once again, or perhaps in Kanyeni, although apparently she was on in Coral this morning. And actually I've done the whole of the southern boundary looking for Kuchava, who is Tundi's daughter. She's a female leopard, and I saw her there not too long ago when we were doing one of our private rehearsals for our TV shows. That was last week Sunday evening. I saw her there. So there we go. The vast open area of Cheetah Plains and Mala Mala has to offer Gnormless. How are you today, Gnormless? Well, good. I am well too, thank you. Have you seen some spotted things? Cheetah, leopards, hyena, lions? I know they're not really spotted, but... No? Okay, that's rude. Back to grazing he goes. This is the territorial... I'm joking around with him, but this is the territorial wildebeest bull of this area. So this is his territory. He's got ample supply of grass, as you may or may not have gathered, judging by the vast grassy field that he's standing in. He's also got plenty of water as well. So it's the perfect spot for a male blue wildebeest to establish his territory, in the hope that perhaps when breeding season comes and he keeps hold of this territory, the ladies might come and visit, just because it is such a perfect place. It does really feel as though we haven't seen all that many wildebeest herds this season. We spent so long watching that one wildebeest herd raise its babies last year, from birth right up until the point that they were growing their little horns. This year it just hasn't really happened, this rainy season. It just goes to show the different dynamics in terms of where the animals move, depending on rainfall. Gnormless isn't going anywhere though. I'm just taking the opportunity while I'm sitting here with Gnormless Gnorman to try and see whether or not there is not a cheetah hiding in the shade somewhere here. Unfortunately, the grass has got so long, it's not quite the same experience that it was no, not unfortunately, let me rephrase that. In terms of animal watching, unfortunately, the grass has got so long that it becomes a bit more tricky than it was a few months ago. We're not, of course, going to complain about the fact that there is grass and food for the animals to eat. I see that buffalo have been through here. I've seen some fresh buffalo tracks, some not old, but not entirely fresh male leopard tracks also walking along the southern boundary of Cheetah Plains. But unfortunately, no cats, just Gnormless. In that case, I'm going to move on in search of other things to show you. While I do, Stef has found some beautiful butterflies.
I have. Now, I'm nowhere near the butterfly aficionado this year as Brent, but I do think that these are the African migrant, and the African migrant butterfly had the caterpillar that infested the terminalias, the silver cluster leaves, this year, and absolutely defoliated them almost completely when they infested the tree. And I just want to get as close as we can to these, but they are just... That, as you're looking at there, is just for me one of the prettiest butterflies out here. Not because they're the most cryptically colored or have the most bold patterns on them. They just got the most unbelievable sort of greenish blue tinge to them. Their scales have that green wash that you're witnessing over there. on the closed side, on the bottom side, the ventral side. But when you get into a certain angle with them, or when they turn into a certain way, they almost got this bluish wash to them. They're just one of the prettiest butterflies to me, and especially on an open piece of ground like this wallow. Now what they're doing on the ground here is they are sucking up the moisture and salts that has been exposed by the drying up water. And these salts would be crystallized now through evaporation on the surface of this mud wallow, and the butterflies, while it's still liquid and in concentrated form, they can then suck up these salts and use it. Now I think let's try and get a little bit closer to them. I don't know how close they're going to allow us to get, and what we've got to try and watch out for is our shadow going across them, because it would be our shadow that disturbs them ultimately. So I think what we're going to do is let's get you as close as we can in this direction here. And that one on the left looks bluer to me. The one on the left hand side is definitely the prettier of the two for me. From this angle, I definitely have a blue wash there. So I'm just going to step back and allow Craig to go in there as much as what he feels comfortable with. And get ready for your screen grabs, because they do make some lovely background wallpapers for anything from your telephone all the way through to your screensavers on your computers and your TVs. There we go. Look at that. And this is on Bushwalk, everybody. Don't forget, this is live and handheld. No tripod like we've got in the car. Craig's busy using his knee at the moment in this sort of semi-squat position. See the wind blow that butterfly over. Just have a look at that color change there. There it's almost green again. They're almost a yellowy color now. And the top wing there, blue. Just absolutely one of my most favorite butterflies, and it looks like they're coming a little bit closer as well. So what we'll do is we'll hang around over here and see if we maybe can get you something that's a slightly better. Now Reva, you've just agreed with me that you think that's one of the prettiest butterflies. Thank you, Reva. I like these plain colored butterflies that have these aspects, these subtleties to them. That's definitely has my vote, these butterflies here. This one is trying to get closer to us. Not really getting, no, it looks like they're finished on this particular pan. Yeah, he's moved off. I'm quite happy that we got these butterflies sucking up the last little bit of moisture. Let's go and see how much moisture is actually left here. Now, not much. As you can see, this is where the butterflies were busy sucking up the last little bit of moisture. This will be dry if we have the same heat as we did today. This will be dry by tomorrow. So literally just the last little bit of moisture that these butterflies can do. No, I don't taste any of the salts that they... Actually, there's a bit of salt there, actually. Wow. That's quite interesting. Anyway, while I muse over why that was the case, why don't we send you over to Brent and those wild dog.
Oh, there's some interesting but quite disturbing behavior happening there. One of the males was literally helping a piece of feces out of the female and then urinating on top of it. Now, of course, wild dogs use defecation and urine as part of their scent marking. We are getting to the right time of the day when they're going to get moving. As I said, they don't stay flat for too long in comparison to the other predators. Now, most of the adults have moved off behind us. Now the puppies are starting to wake up, so we hopefully should be seeing that incredible greeting ceremony shortly. All that tittering and high-pitched squeaks and whines. Now, the whole pack will scent mark, not just the adults or the alphas. And there we go. You can see where the female scent marked earlier. Immediately, there's a male urinating on top. Now, one of the things I always find absolutely hilarious is that they love defecating on top of hyena middens. Now, there's one of the most beautiful wild dogs in terms of coats I've seen in quite a long time, and she's just having a scratch at the back, but there, look at that coat pattern. It's so distinct and so stunning. Now wait when she walks, she's just got the loveliest coat. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? Hi, Geraldine. Geraldine would like to know, do the wild dogs have unique coat patterns patterns, exactly like the zebras or leopards do. Definitely, they are as unique as you can see. They're actually probably more unique, and the patterns are more different than you would find in leopard and in zebra. Greeting ceremony is about to take place. We need to get into the right spot. Now this is the precursor to the hunt and Stef's heart failure. So there's a bit of begging going on from a sub-adult to an adult. Laura would like to know, how do I know which pack it is? Is it by their numbers? Yes, by their numbers. I got their numbers of the individuals from the Endangered Wildlife Trust, but also I do recognize the old half-tailed male and the alpha pair, because we did spend a lot of time with them not so long ago. Or actually, but also I do recognize the old half-tailed male and the alpha pair, because we did spend a lot of time with them not so long ago, or actually about a year ago. So there we go. It's a bit of a stop-start affair, but not nearly as start as sort of a lion getting moving. And they probably they've had a little drink, and there was a little bit of chasing each other around. And as I say, from a time point of view, what is the time? And I said they would get moving at about past, and it is nearly past. Oh, quickly across to Jamie, to a bird I know you've all been dying to see.
A bird that we've all been dying to see, and with jolly good reason, because look how utterly stunning this carmine bee-eater is. This is only the second, no, that's not true, it's the only second one I've seen live since the start or the return of the carmine bee-eaters to this area. But isn't it utterly gorgeous in this afternoon light? That pink and green contrast. Not very difficult to see where the name of this particular bird species came from. Oh, bye-bye. Might come back. Oh, wow. Coming back. No. Ooh, changing direction. It's after something. Hold on a moment. It might come back to the same perch if it doesn't manage. They often do. Well, this one's playing games with us. No, it's decided to go onto the dead tree. Oh, except for that one that is over there. Well done, Viam. I didn't see that one. The whole time I was busy looking at what the other one was doing. I must have got them mixed up in the air. There's two of them. The other one is in a dead tree that's off to my right, but I can't even see it anymore. So Viam did a far better job of keeping... There it goes. I didn't know there were two either. I must have got them mixed up as they flew past. Here we go. There's number 2 or number 1. I'm not quite sure which. Hey, look at that. Look how utterly exquisite it looks with this sort of sheen. We don't really think of them as being shiny birds when we see them. We think of them as being very vivid and very vibrant, but not shiny. And you can actually see that they do have a real glimmer to their feathers, just as quite a few of the birds do, starlings and so on. All made by an overlay of keratin that changes the way that the light strikes the feather. Utterly stunning birds. Very easily identifiable even in flight with their long tails. None of the other bee-eaters that we regularly see out here have that long, thin, sort of almost spear-like point sticking out of their tails. Beautiful birds. Can see its head constantly moving from side to side. They definitely look in better shape than when I first started seeing carmine bee-eaters in the Lowveld this season. When they first arrived, they were looking a little bit bedraggled and a little bit miserable after their long-distance journey from Africa, from further north in Africa. Now looking a lot healthier, thanks to a couple of healthy meals. Somewhere here, I can hear a black-bellied bustard calling as well. Tempted to go and see if I can find it quickly, since our carmine is being very well behaved and sitting still.